Enterprising Communities at Ricky Forum 2021. Welcome to the Forest Harvest CBNE Forum 2021. Thank you for joining us this week as we foster information exchange, capacity enhancement, market engagement, and political action in support of the community-based NTFP enterprises. Our moderator and coach for this session is Mr. Martin Grimans. He's a Senior Program Officer for Private Sector Engagement and Enterprising Communities at RICOFTS-C. He has been working on program development in the forest product sector in Southeast Asia for 25 years. Mr. Grimans coordinates participatory research and capacity development initiatives on forest product value chain for community-based enterprise development and community private sector partnerships. Please welcome our moderator and coach for the session, Mr. Grimans.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I hope you are well today. I hear there's another storm over Philippines. I hope that will not cause too many trouble today. So without further ado, maybe I can start sharing my screen. Just a second. Okay. Can somebody let me know if you can see my screen? Oh. I don't hear anything. If somebody can help me say if you can see my screen, I'm trying to.
Yes, Martin, we can see your screen.
And you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Something is not moving. Okay, it's not moving. I don't see my own screen. Just a second, guys. Okay, so sorry about that. I'm doing multiple things, not the handiest guy for that, but here we go. So today we're going to have a discussion about how to strengthen partnerships or even help engage communities to develop partnership processes. I'm going to be joined by my colleague, Mr. Chai, who is also working at RICOFT. He is in Laos. Hello, Chai. Okay, silence. And then we have two guests. We have two cases we like to show with you, to share with you, to learn from them. Perhaps they can learn from us. I can learn from you. That's great that we have so many people online. The two community-based NTFP enterprises are from Nepal. The first one is the Mount Everest Forest Botanicals Alliance. We have Mr. Rijul Bhaskar Gurun here with us today. And secondly, Namaste. And then secondly, from the Philippines, we have a representative from Samakayo CBNE. She's called Ellen Atencio. Welcome. I'm going to share you quickly the objective of this coaching session. And as the term says, coaching is that we want to have interaction with each other. So we hope to achieve that today. The objective is really looking at what are the foundations necessary to build effective partnerships, and also subsequently particular strategies they may need. And the two cases will help us show where they are today and what foundations have been built today. So quickly an overview for today. We have about 90 minutes. I'm in the process of introducing. Then we're going to explain a little bit what this partnership development process is all about. And we will share, based on the two CBD cases, how they fit into that partnership process. We have about 20 minutes for each case. And then we have about 20 minutes for the audience who have questions or suggestions to join in. And then we have a wrap-up session for that. Okay, I hope you can see this picture in the screen. These are the steps. RICOFT is, there is an echo in the sound. Can somebody unmute the person with the background noise? Okay. if you see this screen, we have about 7 steps which we identified to take, which we take to the process of developing partnerships. Can you unmute everybody, because I hear a lot of background noise. Okay, better now. Okay, so the first step is really to get a clear picture of what is the goal you want to go in a partnership, and to be really clear with your CBNE. And it can be done with the support from facilitators working with you. There's many of us as well, to get a clear picture. What do we really want to achieve, and why do we want to work with the private sector? And if you don't have enough information, there is still some time to collect that information. So that's step 1. The second step is having more understanding about the value chain you want to be more active in, or strengthening your position in. And of course, understanding what are the stakeholders doing in there, who are the stakeholders. And when I talk about stakeholders, I'm talking about the communities working on the same value chain. It can be the private sector, traders, sawmills, buyers, etc., but also policymakers, the local governments. They have a clear, sometimes a clear strategy around particular products which are developed, so they may have to be involved in the process. The third step is where the nitty-gritty starts to happen. Talking to different private sector, getting a better picture of what we're doing, getting some good discussions going with them to understand what they're doing and how they might be interested in working with the communities. So getting a sense of what expectations they may have. And linking this back to the goal setting, which the community-based enterprise have to think about, is to help shortlist those private sector which link to that quite clearly. So it's the choice from the CBNE to say after a while, listen, we have gone through the screening process, and let's identify some private sector out there we really prefer to work with. Then, of course, once that's clear, a clearer communication needs to happen amongst all the parties. And the parties are, for instance, the communities who want to work with the private sector, the different private sector themselves, but also in some circumstances, the local government. They can play an important role. We get to that later. And these different processes need to happen in parallel first. So first, having a clear understanding what each party wants to do before you put them in the same room together. So at least to clear up some uncertainties, etc., etc. So these processes in step 4 are going parallel. After that, once things are becoming a bit more clear, we can start detailing, getting more meat on the table on the partnership itself, having them to work together in the same room and on a various meetings, talk to each other to clarify what they want and how they want it. Once that's in place, in some circumstances, these things need to be, let's say, agreed on paper. It's not always the need for that, but it's good to be clear on what we discussed is actually on paper so that we can refer back to that. So it's an important process, and it's also a nice sort of wrapping up of this very intense process of developing a partnership. It should be a happy moment by then. And then the 7th step, it's monitoring, evaluation, and learning. This is an ongoing process. This doesn't happen like in projects after 6 months or 1 year. This is an ongoing process to understand that what we agreed upon amongst the communities and the private sector is actually happening. And if it's not happening, how can we fix it? So it's an ongoing learning process. And I hope that we get some examples from the two CBNEs here today. As you can see, the Mountain Forest Botanical Alliance, they are interested in working with us in this session today on step number 3, on how they engage with private sector to identify them, to screen them, and to shortlist them. So we have a discussion on that. And for Samakayo, they already have some experience working with private sector or with supporting partners. And we want to take into some monitoring and evaluation process. So to see that the 7 steps have two links to the cases here. The screen is not moving. Just a second. Okay. Okay, the first speaker we have today is Mr. Rijul. He's working as a CEO and co-founder of the Mount Everest Forest Botanical Alliance. He's representing a group alliance of community-based forest user groups practicing NTFPs on social enterprise modalities. The focus is on livelihood interventions and environmental conservation while fostering entrepreneurship to developing market linkages. The target groups are the women and indigenous people in a particular district. And some of the products they work on is bamboo, medicinal aromatic plants, plant-based butters and oils of high value, and on honey. And some of the expertise is also on building skills and capacity development. So Mr. Rijul, I'm going to share you the screen, and I hope you can sort of spend 10 minutes on explaining what your CBNE is doing, what Mount Everest Forest Botanical Alliance is doing, and then we get to a discussion for about 10 minutes. So I'll give you the floor for about 10 minutes, and let me know when you want to go to the next slide. Thank you. Okay, Rijul, you are there.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good morning to every one of you. Before that, thank you very much, Martin, for guiding us through. So basically, we are, like Martin introduced us before, we are an alliance of forest users groups in Nepal. And this particular groups we are talking about is this is in a place called Chitwan, and this is there are three basically groups of 78 indigenous women of the Chepang community. So this Chepang community is one of the least developed of all. We have in Nepal, we have 103 ethnic communities, and Chepang comes to the bottom of all this pyramid. So they have a big problem with the food, nutrition, and then primary health. And then of course, since they live in a degraded forest area, they always have problem with basically with the food. And like with most of the indigenous people in degraded areas, all the problems they face with that. So since they live in an area, mountainous area, it's very difficult. Topography is very difficult, and then this underdeveloped infrastructure makes whatever intervention we do for the community very, very high costs. So eventually, after we had kind of lots of sessions with the communities, we finally decided that they should involve themselves in such an kind of a product which is based on the local environment. Meaning, since they're living in the forest areas, also and also traditionally they have a tradition of getting the honey wild from the forest. So we thought, since they have the basic skills, traditional skills, why not use that kind of skills and then develop kind of a business so that the entire community could benefit. So also, basically, this group has a cultural totem in a local variety of a tree. We call it the Himalayan butter tree, or some also call it Indian butter tree. And then all the passage of rites of their life is associated with that tree. So, and then since the entire area, the forested land where they dwell, has mostly of the suri tree, and they usually use its flowers, they use the fruits, they use the seeds, and then they use everything about the tree, the leaves, the bark, the roots, everything about the tree. So also during the birth of a child in the family, during the rituals, you need the branches of the tree, and then also during the marriage of a daughter, when a daughter is given off in a marriage, so the saplings of churi butter tree has to be given as a dowry. So basically this has, churi has such a important place in their cultural life, day-to-day life. So, and then also it provides them food, it provides them fuel, it provides them lots of other economic benefits. So also they, I'm not covering that now here, but also they produce high quality plant-based butter out of the seeds of that fruit, churi butter fruit. So, but however, we decided to do on the honey because that was the easiest for the community, and then that was the best. Also, having said that, this community is in one of the very remotest areas of Nepal, mountain area, and then most parts of the far-flung mountain areas, they are not economically developed, and they do not have cash in the local economy. So entire economy is not monetized. So which means still to this day they practice more of a barter, and then you give me a hen, I'll give you banana, and then you give me something else, I'll give you something next year. So that bartering is kind of done. So only after the community started to kind of organize themselves in the honey, then they started to get some cash, they started to see some money. So this honey project is very, very important for the community, to the extent that about 60 to 70% of their annual income, cash income, is based on the honey trade. So next slide, please. You want me to go to that as well, Martin?
Yes, it would be good because you have give answers to these questions already. So yes, please.
Yes. And then while doing this project with the community, we basically we had to set the goals. What goals we were about to set, both from the perspective of the community and also the perspectives of the buyers. So through the community perspective, we had to make sure that the honey which the community was producing was organic, and then also this was whatever the apiculture we selected for the community had to be sustainable for a long time. Also, while this was related to the kind of what you call, if there is a massive amount of trees all around the community, and then naturally there will be more honey collected, and then so it also not only it's a cultural totem for the village, but many of the now young people, they are not linked to that cultural kind of affiliation to that traditional totem. So they don't mind go and then fell the trees. So instead of doing that, if the tree is giving them benefits, so they are also encouraged to go for kind of planting the same churi trees. So this was very important to make the project and then to make the environment sustainable. It is very important they go on continue planting the churi tree in the community areas. So this was very important for us. And then the goal of the buyers in this situation was they needed our commitment, the community's commitment of partnership on a long-term basis. For example, this forest honey is very, very precious, even in Nepali context. So when the tribal people bring the honey from the hill mountains to the foothills for small markets and bazaars, so there are lots of local buyers to go for that. But when we were negotiating with our kind of major trader or the partner, they wanted the entire community to involve the partnership on a long-term basis, so that they could also develop some business plan, and then their supply chain was ensured. They wanted really wanted the community to make sure that we wanted to go on for a long term. In fact, they wanted 5-6 years of contractual obligation to be entered with them, but finally community did not want to kind of agree to that, and then they agreed basically for 3 years. So that was a win-win situation, meeting point for both the community and the buyers. So also the buyers wanted to be kind of involved with us, in the sense that if it was a small one individual or two individuals just organizing the honey producing, they would not be very much interested, because they wanted the forest honey with certification on a long-term basis, meaning they wanted us to scale up the production of honey, and that was possible only if the entire community was involved. So this is one of the benefits of working together. If we work on a community basis, then the scaling up would be much easier. And also that becomes very attractive. We found out it became very attractive initially when we were just speaking on behalf of some people, some individual producers, honey producers. They would not show interest. Some of the traders did not show their interest. But when finally we all brought the community together and we were united, and then all of a sudden the quantity of the forest honey available was in a good quantity, and then they showed their interest. And then not only some important honey buyers, they showed their interest in our honey. They said, if we are entering with them on a long-term basis, then they were involved in even in kind of infrastructure development for us, like supplying more of the honeybee boxes, and then training. Training is very expensive in Nepal, so they wanted to be involved even in training process. So these were the benefits of if we were having the goals of partnership developed in a nice way. So we found out these benefits. And also the whole thing required, the entire project required, one important thing was scaling up, and then also to improve the capacities of the members to do the business, because tribal people, indigenous people like everywhere else, they are not very they are not aware of the market dealings. So they are not good business people as such. So we had to instill the skills of negotiations, and then management, and even money management to a certain extent, because in the earlier days they are not seeing the cash, and then they just are not handling the cash in a nice way. So we had to educate them in the handling of the cash. Financial literacy was also part of that. And that was also because capacity building, financial literacy was also capacity building. And then also, we wanted to ensure that the benefits was shared by everyone in the community, be it men, women, and then other non-tribal people also in the community who are of the certain poverty level. So this is the basically. So and then next. Basically, while going for the ideal partnership as per our experiences, if the entire community comes together and involved, and then we are together, and then our strength gets increased, then it's very facilitates to access credit, which is very vital in the community, because as it is, no institutional financial institution wants to come to this kind of community, because they want to make sure that the money comes back. So only when they are structured and then they are, in some kind of a formal kind of organization, they can have access to the credit, which is very important. And but the requirement of credit of the community is also, even for the consumption, they need the credit. So that has to be made available. Otherwise, there will be a typical money lenders in the village, and then that they fall into that exploitative kind of a trap. So, and then also, we found out in the partnership which was to be developed, the honesty and trustworthiness was very, very vital for us. And also to achieve the scale, and then we realized getting good network is always beneficial. That really serves purpose well. And then in our particular experiences while going for this developing a strategic partnership with the buyers. So initially, our own experience, it was very, very difficult because their perspective was very different and our perspective was very different. But eventually, when we had lots of buyers, when we finally selected which particular kind of a trader to be our strategic partner, we had certain requirements, and then we took the business house which met the most of our requirements. We partnered with them, and then we had lots and lots of meetings, and then finally coming to an agreement to which catered to our long-term needs were very difficult initially. So, and then fixing of the prices was another issue. So eventually it was decided that the price would be fixed for 3 years, because they say if there is more of honey, and then price goes down, and then when there is no flowers, but there's no nectars because of the climate change, every year sometimes it's very erratic. Sometimes there's a longer flowering season, and sometimes there is a less flowering season, meaning this fluctuates, and then eventually affects the production of honey. So that's why the buyers wanted to make sure that we fix a price on a long-term basis, which was not good for us. And finally, we decided on the 3 years kind of a fixing of the price. And then we realized taking on board the help of the local elected representative really changed the game for us, because sometimes the buyers are very strong people, the business community is strong people, and then also the communities are in some certain extent they are weaker. So until and unless the local elected representative are not backing us from behind, it will be very difficult. So we always have to keep them in the loop, and then we feel strengthened. It's like that. And then also one interesting thing I really wanted to share here is, while we were negotiating with different people, the most strongest contender buyer, what they did was, before they finally decided to deal with us, what they did was, to our utter surprise, we found out they went all the way to one of the alpine districts of Nepal, one of the most remotest corner of Nepal, called Humla, which is snowbound about 7 months in a year. But we worked there also in one of the rarest herb called Jatamasi. And then we work with the local the Buddhist community, ethnic community there, so for many years. So these traders, the Chepang, what do you call that, partner traders in the foothill, they went all the way to place Humla just to find out what we did, and then they were checking us on whether our credentials were good enough, and whether we really were committed to the long-term kind of commitment which we had made to the buyers there for our Jatamasi. And then when finally And then no one knew that they went there to check on us. So it was much later, after 3-4 months, then we realized that they had gone there to check on us. So which tells that we have to work on our credentials, and then the capacity to deliver. So if they know, the other party knows, then also when they know that you are a strong negotiator, and then they appreciate in some way, they appreciate, and then that really cements the partnership. So next, please. Next slide, please.
So the slide was up. Can you see it?
Yeah.
This one. Okay.
Yeah. This. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I see it now. Yeah. This is the partnership development process from our perspective. So, when we are developing a kind of a process, so we have to be accountable and transparent all the time. That goes without saying in everything we do, any economic venture. But this is very, very important, working in an ethnic community. So, and then when the traders also, they find out that you are transparent and accountable to your own ethnic community and to your community CBNEs, so they will also think that you are a good person to deal with. So we found that very rewarding also. Also, many times we feel that these are indigenous people, and then many of them, they do not know anything. When we feel that way, that is not the correct all the time. Sometimes the community leaders may not be educated, but the kind of, the amount of experiences and the wisdom they have is astounding. And then they can also guide us through when we are stuck with the community with something, and we can always approach them once they are convinced, and then a word of from their mouth will be it just nails down, whatever has to be done through the entire community. If we speak to the leader, and then leader speaks on your behalf, then things will be really, really, really easier. And so, another issues we had in this community while we were developing the partnership as producer was, this is basically indigenous community area, and then it's a huge area, scattered area, and then mountain forest, and then part of it is degraded. And but however, in this kind of habitat, there are also non-indigenous people, but of the very, very poor category. Even some of them are, many of them are not, may not be indigenous people, but they are also coming from the ultra poor kind of what do you call that group. So, so initially initially many people did not like the idea there in the community, like whatever we do, it has to only serve the interest of the indigenous people. But to our utter astonishment, we found the village women, the tribal women, they said, no, we have to include the non-tribal ultra poor people as well in this project. So now, although we have 90% of the women in our this project are indigenous people, but there are now also non-tribal women from poor categories are also part. But one thing we learned from this process is, like, indigenous people are very, 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 very kind and generous. That was a big learning lesson for us as well. And then also they are very, very accommodative. And yeah, decision making for anything we did for this was we involved from day one. Every action we do is we want to make it transparent, and all the time our what you call that dialogue is always on, all the time. It's always on. Thank you. Can you move to the next, please? Yeah.
Yes.
This is the group. Yeah, this is the group of the women. We have 3 groups in the community. This is one of the group. We have another major problem. I just wanted to make it pertinent. Here, the problem is of the teenage pregnancy. Most of the women in the tribal area, moment they are 12, 13 years old, they are married off. And by the age they are 15 years old, and they start bearing children, and then the vortex of the problem starts with the community. Here you can see most of these young women members, they are mothers of 3, 4, 5 children. You can see that. And then you can see they are in real economic problem. So, bringing them together through honey was also a big successful venture for us.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Very interesting. And also to see that partnership processes can even happen in remote areas whereby the focus seems to be lying on indigenous products, and that there is a different perspective in Nepal, perhaps through some of the other examples I've seen in the past. So just a few questions, as this is a bit of an interactive session. And we had already shared a bunch of questions to Rijul before, so he was able to share additional points. We had a few more here. I cannot share all of them today, but maybe I can just ask 1 or 2. And this is meant to learn from each other and see what other approaches could be followed. So one observation we had, I prepared this with Mr. Chai, and we sort of settled on a few questions. And one of the questions is that we have this long-term expectations from the private sector. They want to have the organic products, they want to have fair wealth certification, which is a challenging process for local people, especially the remote communities to achieve. So we were asking, well, if you want to really develop trust, that happens today, tomorrow. It doesn't happen over many years. Of course, it will lead to many years, but what about the short-term benefits or interest of the private sector in partnering in the communities? Could you share something about that? So not only the long term, but what are the sort of short-term interests to partner from the private sector point of view?
Thank you very much for the question. Actually, I missed out that very important part, the certification. So what we realized was the forest honey is a specialty honey product. We did not know that before. We thought it was maybe just they call it forest honey, but now we realize it's a specialty forest categorized honey. So again, what we realized was in the short-term perspective, most of the buyers, they are wanting to buy straight away from us without certification also, which gets sold off in the local market, which fetches them kind of a normal price. Okay, but for a long-term, they are always. We found out why these guys are interested on long-term. They were wanting us to supply them even 10 years, 15 years like that, and then we were not understanding before. But much later we found out there is this called kind of a fair wild certification. If the Japanese buyers, importers, they are getting forest honey with the fair wild certification, they are getting about 4 times price of whatever they are getting now in Nepal local markets. So short-term wise, they want to buy anything, whatever we produce, even for the short-term, for a certain price. And for long-term, that's why we realized for a long-term, if we can get the certification, then the price would obviously go higher, and which would benefit the community. So here we had both the short-term and long-term, perspectives from the side of the buyers.
Yeah, so in the short term, what is the private sector wanting to see happen? Because if they can't have certification happening within the next 2-3 years, what are they settling on? Is it something else they might be interested in? And maybe just give an example we discussed with my colleague is, so what can the government do on that side? Can they help to build towards the process of becoming certified? Is there a other way we can sort of guarantee the quality of the honey? So as a stepping stone towards certification, is there something the local government can play as a local guarantor on that?
That's very important question you raised. We tried to find out, we researched, and what was the regulatory kind of solution for this in Nepal to certify that it's organic. There's nothing called what you call a forest kind of certification in Nepal, but at least they have organic. So so there is a process called, it can be certified organic, but only if there are certain parameters, like they have to come under certain structure, like they have to be multi-purpose cooperative bodies. Only if these groups are established as multi-purpose cooperative producers, they can do that. But sadly, in Nepal, for past couple of years, the government has stopped formation of these kind of cooperatives for regions best known to them, but that was not serving our purpose. So what we are now trying to find out is, in India, the Indian government is trying to do a group certification, something called group certification, informal, but at least the local, they call it panchayat, meaning the local village council elected body, they can certify. So we are trying to learn that. We are in touch with some of the people there in India, and we want to see if that can be replicated even informally, but because we are working in our particular this area with the elected representative, and we are getting a tremendous support from them. So, and then in fact, we propose to them, if we get kind of a certain structure, what they are doing in India, maybe we can replicate that at the local level, and that will also give kind of a certification, so which will benefit the communities. Yeah.
Okay, because we're running a little bit behind, I have one last question before we move back to the slides. Just to clarify, can you explain a little bit what is the role of MEFBA as compared to the communities? Because we would like to know, if you go in a negotiation process, who do you represent? Do you represent MEFBA? Do you represent the communities? Are they the same? Are they separate? Because sometimes, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, it's very, that's an important question you raised. We are basically, MEFBA is structured as a social entrepreneurship of forest users groups dealing in NTFP, meaning, you know, Nepal has one of the largest community forest users groups, okay? About 32,000 groups are there, forest users groups. So all of them are not doing NTFP, but some of them are doing NTFP. So we are trying to bring those people, those CFUGs who are practicing NTFP, we are bringing them together. And at times we are working as an alliance of these NTFP practitioners in Nepal. And then also as a, what we call that, business interest groups of these producers also. Like, for example, for this, also this honey project. So MEFBA is involved with them in equity. So in these groups, we have 3 groups. We have 5% equity with the community kind of a group. So, and then eventually whenever the community benefits, MEFBA will also get to benefit by 5%. Just like that is the business model we have. Also, that also allows us, the benefit of that alliance allows us also to access the government kind of, what do you call that, networks. Sometimes if you are an alliance, and then also advocacy, that times you get certain kind of help.
Okay, good. I want to give the floor to Chai because you have some observations and some ideas himself. So could we put back this slide, and then I'll give the floor to Chai to share some of his observations on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Can we put on the slide again? Or
Hello. Can you hear me, right, Martin?
okay, I think we're here. Yes, go ahead, Chai.
I think we don't have the slide, but it's okay, yeah. But as I summarize from you guys presented, the community and private sector, they want to get a partnership agreement, but it seems community doesn't want a short term, right? Because doesn't want a long term. But as I found some issue that here a challenge is I think MEFBA also get 5% from that profits to sell the products. I think that it's a little bit challenge from for negotiation the price, because I think both private community and private sector, even MEFBA need to have a clear role to inform, right? To inform or parties to get a clear law, and all of them they understand and how to set a goal to achieve the partnership agreement, even long term or short term. And as I observed that Honey Group is not certified yet, right? Because they are working individual and they want to sell in a group, or this is we also need to find out on that. Because if individual is my individual entrepreneur, it's my difficult to get the same price. As for example, one community you have 7 group or 10 group, they might not get the same price if they are not in a group. Yeah, it's better if they are in a group, right? They are in a group, and then they are all negotiate together with MEFBA, with buyer, and to get support from local agency or the local government on certificate, because community also want to get a high price. If short term, you get low price in local market, but if you get if you want long term contracts, that might be need to do some homework. Yeah, as let me check a little bit on that. They need to check some homework that what the things community need to prepare. Yeah, and this is really important to start negotiate, because each parties, they have their own expectation. And once we talk to private sector, we will know what they need, right? And we also know what our need, right? And this is the tip and the lesson learned that we have learned from the field, and based on our real experience in Laos on timber, I think. But it's not different from NTFP, because the process might be the same. Yeah. And yeah, I know at the moment is MEFBA will be facilitators or mediators. Yeah, but this is we need to to clarify the role, as I mentioned before, and know what private sector is interested in and how we pitch the idea and attracts. As I have seen that some buyers, I'm not sure a local or international buyer need to invest long term and will support infrastructure, even the support trainings. Yeah, I think this is a good sense, yeah, to work with this kind of private sector. But the thing is, what community need to prepare and what the thing MEFBA need to prepare to achieve this kind of private sector. Yeah, and yeah, as I mentioned.
Last point, Chai. Last point, because we have to move to Samarkand.
Okay. The thing is be transparent and share information, because I see some gaps information sharing. This is,
Okay, I think these are, I mean, I'm sure we can continue for another half an hour, which I'm afraid we don't have the time. This is also meant to be a coaching session, and hopefully we can continue with this process. So if possible, we could reach out or Rijul can reach out to us and discuss further after this event. So I hope that is okay for now,
Yes.
because we have another CBNE waiting for us. So thank you very much, Rijul and Chai, for your observations. And yes, this will continue to discuss, I hope. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chai and Martin.
Okay, good. I hope that the cyclone or the typhoon is not disturbing the Philippines too much again. I'm afraid that's always quite worrisome. But now we have on board, I hope, Ellen, who she is the board of directors chairperson of Samakayo. I'm afraid I won't read out the full name, but I see the word organic in there, so that's interesting already. So Samakayo is a CBNE group in Barangay Cuyambay in Tanay municipality in Rizal province. And so they have been working with the Department of Agriculture and NTFP-EP, the Philippines, and is now registered also with the Department of Labor and Employment. Samakayo is involved in rainforestation, which I think is a great word, and planting native trees on ancestral land. They also focus on on organic vegetable farming, such as eggplant, okra, lettuce, and rosella. And also now, very interesting to see that the partnership helped them to do some food processing on rosella jam, wine, vinegar, and tea. So welcome, Ellen. I hope you are here. And I can give you the floor for a bunch of minutes so we can walk you through to what Samakayo is doing. I have the slide put up for you. Thank you.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Welcome.
Yeah. So, masampataado, di ka mo apesan. Have a good morning, everyone. So, I'm Ellen Atencio, one of the board of directors of Sama Kayo. So, I'm so overwhelming to be part of this conference. Yes. So, hello, Sir Martin.
Hello, Ellen. How are you? So do you want to go through this slide, or you want me to help you with that?
It's fine. I will try to explain everything what's on the slide.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So can I begin?
Yes, please. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay. So Sama Kayo is a small group farmers in the Philippines, particularly in the municipality of Tanay in the province of Rizal. We compose of indigenous people and non-IP who are locally settled in the same place here in Tanay. So all in all, a small group begins with 16 females and 16 male. As I said before, it is a composition of IP and non-IP. Right now, our organization is very young. We are only 3 years old. So we started way back 2018, and our group only begins with simple aspiration. It is to have a sustainable livelihood for the community and also to sustain our rainforest, especially in our ancestral land, and also to protect our ancestral land. So as a new group here in the Philippines, we're trying to connect with other non-government agency because we know that we are incapacitated in terms of having a mga technical assistance. So we are very much open to have linkages with other group like as in the slide, Masungi G Reserve. We actually start our partnership with Masungi. It is started with the friendship of two people, Ate Rosemary, who is the president of Sama Kayo, and Miss Anne, the manager of Masungi G Reserve. They are like sisters. So when the president of Sama Kayo has a new idea of starting of something, Miss Anne is there to help her to try it, like crafting of soap made of honey beeswax, something like that. And also, Masungi is very open in giving us training in food processing. So we work, Sama Kayo and Masungi work like that until now. So right now, we are busy in crafting of Roselle tea and Roselle wine, which is very, which is very good. It tastes very nice. So Roselle flower is from the hibiscus family. And then after that, we are trying to have a, testing a wine which is in season, fruits in season, like mango, cashew, Indian mango, duhat. So whatever is the fruit in season, we try to make it as a wine. Like, yeah, like banana. So I think our group is successful when it comes to that. But right now, we cannot engage in bulk processing of this kind of wine because since we are new, we don't have facility yet to process these things. That's why, as I said a while ago, we are open to have a linkages to other non-government, other sectors who are willing to help a small group like us here in the Philippines. So next slide, please. Okay, so these are the members of the Sama Kayo group here in the Philippines. And we are very lucky to have NTFP Philippines to assist us in a technical aspect. They are the one who open doors for the opportunity for us to connect to the government, to the non-government sector. So we are very much lucky to have NTFP Philippines because of this group, we venture to National Commission for the Culture and Arts, and it give us a project. Like right now, we are engaged in Indigo project. Sama Kayo is engaged in Indigo project. And the question here is, it's a nice question. As I said a while ago, the partnership with Masuki is not formal. It's only started with the friendship of this two people. They work as a sisters. So until now, the process between Masungi and Sama Kayo is under negotiation. Because part of Masungi Reserve is within the ancestral domain, so it's a serious matter. So I cannot discuss the detail here. So, but we are we are open naman to have a complete, or what you call this, to have a memorandum of agreement with them in the right time, in the proper time. But I don't think it happened right now this year, maybe next year. Okay, what's the next question, please? Hello? Yeah.
Can you, sorry, I'm not unmuted, so I was not able to take you to the question, sorry.
Sorry.
So yeah, the question was really about, we wanted to know how that process went, and you brilliantly went through a process. Do you see any challenges in that negotiation process? We heard from Rijul, there was quite some, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of time to go through the process. Anything you can say about that? How hard it was and how easy it was?
Yeah, the process between the Masuni and the Samakayo is under negotiation. Because at first, as IP people here in the Philippines, we are afraid of entering into a memorandum of agreement. And then that is the part of NTFP to help us open our mind that it's okay to engage with other sector, so that the project that we are in mind can be put into realization. So we are on the process. So I think the Masungi is very open naman when it comes to the MOA with them, because they are very much willing to help us. But to put into writing right now, yeah, I don't think so. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why my second question is, so how do you assess the previous engagement with them? So you want to formalize it a little bit more. So I wondered a little bit, so how do you assess that, that partnership so far? What type of criteria did you set to measure that?
I think we are on the stage where we can put naman into writing everything na. But still, as an IP group, well, we have to consider a lot of things like the decision of the elders, the decision of the community, because in engaging to a partnership with the other group, you will not engage sama kayo only, but you will engage the whole community. So we have to assess, we have to analyze, and we have to have the validations of the elders of the community so that everything will fall into place.
Okay, I'm going to move to the next slide just to show you, because one of the questions Samakayo had for us, how do you make sure that the CBNE's non-negotiables such as cultural protection and forest protection are actually included in that partnership agreement? Is that an important criteria, and can you share a little bit more about that?
Yes, of course. It is an very important criteria in engaging with the any understanding with the other group, because as an IP people, we are the protector of our ancestral land. So it is part of our engaging with others that if we could have any project with them, the first thing should be is to protect our culture and also to protect our forest. So it's an important, it's a non-negotiable thing in entering a understanding with others.
Has it been a problem so far, or were you able to deal with it?
We are able naman to deal with it. Kasi at first, we are very sincere in telling them that if you want to put any project in our community, please consider these things. If you cannot consider these things, and then no deal, no negotiation, no understanding, no agreement.
So I imagine this will go back in a formal partnership process. If that process is there, it will be in there correct?
Yeah.
Okay, great. No, it's good. It's good that you clarify that up front because this helps you to select your partners.
Thank you.
So what do you expect to be different? I mean, and so working 4 years without a formal contract or partnership and now having it more formalized, what will be different? What will change, do you think? Meaning, is there an expectation you have from that partnership to really make some shifts within the community or in the way they operate? Any future expectations you have from that?
Right now, Sama Kayo did not put any expectation on the kind of partnership that we have with Masungi. Both sides are open to have a serious partnership, but right now dealing with some issue with ancestral domain, so that's the hindrance between the two agency, between the Sama Kayo and the Masungi. Kasi nga most of the member of the Sama Kayo is indigenous people. So that's the problem with that partnership. Oh, there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think these two questions you already covered. So let me go to this part. Just one more question, and then I'll give the floor to Mr. Chai. And one of your questions I saw is, you asked a question, is it, or your colleagues asked the question, I can't remember where it came from. But you're asking, what is the difference to enter into a partnership with the government and private sector? Could you elaborate a little bit more if why is this an important question for you?
I think the difference between the two, yung having partnership with the government, I think government is culturally aware on what they are putting up in a certain community, like what we have right now, yung a project with the NCCA, the National Commission for the Culture and the Arts, the Indigo project. So they used a certain group like NTFP for us to explain what this project is all about. So after we understand the mechanism, how it will take place, how will the group will handle the project, so it is very easy for us to accept it because planting an indigo, it's not a hard part on us because we are what do you call this? Yeah, because they're giving their support, and also the indigenous people is very is a farmer. There's an instinct that they are really a farmer. So we are having a we are easy time to handle it.
Okay.
While the private sector, we are ensuring first their sincerity in entering in our community. That's the difference between the two. Kasi the government, they are using some channeling to enter in our community, who can explain, and then the private sector intervene right away. So us as a group, we are assessing their sincerity. Is that really they want us in the community to have a project like this, or they have the hidden agenda in entering in our community? So that's the difference between the two.
Okay. Okay, good. So thank you for that. I'm going to ask Mr. Chai. He's also listening in and he has some ideas to share with you. Chai, could you keep it to about 3 minutes because we're a little bit behind schedule. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. As my observation that Samakayo is happy with the partnership agreement, non-formal with a partnership agreement with how you call it, Mongchi, right? And but it seemed like that not all parties involved or understand in the same page in a partnership agreement as the government, right? If I'm right? Because they also need you to clarify something, to do this and that, and yeah, I think it would better that we need to involve government or local government as well in that. And it seemed like Kamkayo did not want to make a formal PA. Yeah, this is also is happy already, right? To do non-formal. I think if we want to develop more products, markets, etc., to access the technical support from other governments or NGO, I think it's better to have a formal agreement. Yeah, this is also is linked to finance institute that if you need money, if you need more investment, I think is that needs a formal agreement is better. And we have an evidence to the government. I think this is a part of vision development and also the trust buildings as well, because of course we never know that non-formal is when it will stop or end, and we don't have any evidence for that. And yeah, it's better to have that and continue discussions, collaboration. I think it's better to straightforward to speak both with community, private sector as government as well. This is on the critical detail on agreement, because the trust is more important and discussion is better, always better to discuss on that. Yeah, I think I have only that for Kamasayo, Martin.
Okay. Alan, I hope this is useful. And as I said, same with Rijul, we don't have a lot of time to go in further detail than this. So if you're willing to collaborate or to reach out to us again to see how we could support, we are on standby for that. So happy to follow up with that. Yeah, so for both of you, no, I know sometimes the connection is not so great, but it's something we're happy to do, so to work with you. So these tips on the screen are, yeah, I will go in detail later, but just to open the floor for now for some questions. We have a bit less time available than I expected, but still about 10 minutes. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand or perhaps wave in the screen. Turn on your video when you ask a question and maybe introduce yourself, your name, who you work with, where you're from. And if you are not happy to speak, you can also write the questions in the chat. We are recording this session, so we can come back to that later. So anybody have any questions? I open the floor now. If somebody can help me see what's going on, then I can. I see a question in the chat. Okay. Which factor is the most important in this model? So this is from Mr. Hong Van from Vietnam, I imagine. Is this question related to any particular model from Samakayo or from MEFBA, Mr. Hong? Is Mr. Hong with us, and can he clarify the question? In both. Oh, he's writing back in both. So, okay, this is a question then back to the two CBNEs or the representative here. So the question to Rijul and to Alan is, what is the most important factor to make these models, your model, successful? And can I give the floor to ladies first? Alan, can you have any idea?
Hello again.
Hi.
So for me, which factor is the most, again? Can you
Yes, I will.
repeat the
So
question?
what is the most important factor which makes your business model, your operations successful? And what is the most important factor in that? If you miss that factor, what will not happen?
I think the most important factor is the commitment, the sincerity, the commitment to finish a certain project, so that at the end of the day, both the Sama Kayo and our partner will be successful in our partnership.
Okay, so commitment.
So that's the only two: sincerity and
Yeah.
commitment.
And I guess maybe that's linked to the goal setting and the criteria you set yourself as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Rijul, you have any same factor or maybe a different factor you can share with us?
Yeah, I realize I have whatever the lady said. I fully agree to that. But also my own experience is we found one singular idea that really makes a big difference is focusing on relationship. We realize can really deliver. You know, the whole this is we realized with the community and with the buyers and then with the different stakeholders like facilitators, government representatives, and then the licensing people, and then whoever is involved in this kind of a thing. We realize if there is we focus on relationship, things can be done as per our expectations. You know, sometimes they even come out of their way to help us when we focus on the relationships. And then when there is a relationship, then trust is always there. We realize, yeah. Unofficially, even we realize when our relationship was like for this year, because of the long dry spell, the flowering season has gone down. So we initially just 15 days back, we realized the honey production will go by 30%, but now it looks like it's going to be almost 50%, which is a lot. So now already unofficially, our buyer has said he will be very, what do you call that, accommodative in giving a higher price to this year's production. He has said unofficially. So because all along we've been involving him, you know, and you know, in the loop, saying what difficulties we are facing now, because that's based on the relationship. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. I got another question also from Vietnam, from Mr. Dung Trinh, or maybe Mrs. Dung Trinh, sorry, I don't know. The question is how can you be sure that forest conservation and cultural preservation are guaranteed? I guess this question also goes to both of you. So Ellen, what do you think? How can you make sure that conservation and cultural preservation is guaranteed?
For us in Sama Kayo, to ensure that the culture will be preserved and also the forest can be preserved, on the agreement, we need to ensure that it will be the basis of the project. Our project will pursue if we only consider these two factors. If it is not, there's no project will do. So this is the two important thing that the group will ensure, just to protect our culture and our forests, because those that two thing is our life. So we cannot we cannot commit for the group who cannot give me the sincerity of their project, the project that they are giving to the community.
Okay, sounds very interesting how that works. Rijul, any answer for you? Maybe a slightly different viewpoint from Nepal, perhaps?
It's a quite different, I think, the people which we work with. So what we did was, for us, calendar is very important. They have throughout the year, the IP people have, rituals, and then the calendar, and then their rituals move with the moving seasons, Traditionally, in the West, we have 4 seasons, but for the indigenous people, they have 6 seasons, so 2 extra more. So all our activities are related to the 6 seasons, not the 4 seasons. So we wanted to make sure that while we were making our operational plan, we incorporated those what do you call that, the indigenous people's way of moving. So sometimes we feel they move very slow, and then we realize that's very fine for us because the whole thing is about them. So in fact, we are syncing ourselves. We requested the buyers to sync their requirements to the lifestyles and the time, sense of time dilation with the community, like that. So we thought some of the cultural what do you call that, the intangible cultural things are woven into our project. And then also, it's very interesting for you guys to know that all women now, they are planting about 30 to 40 churi butter trees as part of their culture, which also benefits the apiculture in a way, so these are all intertwined into the project, the cultural aspects. So we want to ensure that also the young generations, they were not interested in the traditional apiculture. Like they make a small hole on the wall. That's how they do their apiculture, the traditional way. And youngsters are not interested. Now youngsters are interested because we are giving them the modern tools, modern beekeeping, and then stuffs like that. So it's a mix. I think balancing is very important for the continuity. Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, good. Now I hear a lot of things which is important. We have to also consider when we work with private sector that sometimes the role we play is also important. I see that the role Ellen plays and Rijul plays and maybe Chai plays, how to go in that process can be slightly different. So it's quite important to keep in mind that processes are transparent. We are really considering the what do you call it? The cultural, the values, the other local values, such as protection of forest. And you need to bring it on the table on day one. It has to be important because some private sector out there are quite scrupulous, and we need to be able to prepare for that. Due diligence, do your homework is an important part, but clarifying what the community wants is super important to have that clear on day one. And I also want to say the supporting agencies need to look out for that. Okay, good. I'm going to wrap up because we have only a few minutes left. So I want to thank Rijul and Ellen very much for their contribution today. And if you really want to continue this discussion, we're open to reach out. I think Arnel has my email, Ellen, if you want to reach out that way, or perhaps by Facebook, it doesn't matter. And Rijul as well. So happy to continue if you want to after this event. Thank you both. So I would like to go back to the, all right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks to all of you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Could we go back to the slides because we have a final wrap-up session with Mrs. Shai. Can we go back to the slides, please? Or do I have to do that? I think I have to do it somehow. It seems that every time we move to this discussion, I get kicked out from my slides. So I hope you can see it. Okay, good. Everybody, Chai, can you see my slide? And okay, maybe me first. Sorry to say. Okay, maybe for me first before I move to Chai. Some wrap-up points. Facilitation. It is a very important aspect to keep in mind, and who plays that roles to support that process. The reason why I put that out there is because in RICOF, we have a lot of training and facilitation coordinators who support communities in that process, and we need to really look out for them. And so it is we have to think about these things. If you really want to know more about how to do that, we have a guide for that on our website. I've written out the name here of the website, so you can download it for free. How to become a good facilitator and helping communities to prepare for these processes. It is important to be very thorough. You cannot just do this as sometimes spend a few 5 minutes on it. This needs to happen on a consistent basis, and we cannot leave things to chance. Oops, sorry. Then we need to make sure all parties are on the same page. If they are not clear, any misunderstanding can lead to failure of the partnership. So the process of going through the negotiation process of all these steps are very important. We cannot find any shortcuts. If people are not clear, let's stop. Let's clarify first before we move on. We don't want the partnership to fail. We don't want people to be disappointed. We don't want to waste their time. And we think this process, and we're going to get to that in a minute, is a basic tool which is necessary to build partnerships, and having this as a foundation for successful CBNEs. So understanding the steps, the processes is necessary to invest in it will guarantee, help you guarantee success in the future. And now I would like to move on to the last observation we have. We have a partnership guide, and Chai is going to share you a little bit about it, where you can find it, etc., etc. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Hi again, my name is Chai. Yeah, this is I work as field coordinators for RECOF in Laos, PDRs, and my job is to help community life and work sustainably along these lands and healthy forests increasingly. I have been working link local communities with private sector's opportunity as part of RECOF Forest project, forest landscape restoration for improved livelihood and climate resilience. That's project we're working. And we work with community and private sectors to generate sustainable forest product, service, and modality that will in turn help to guarantee forest protection. And this year, we negotiate 2 partnership agreements. The first one is between Pak Hung Village and Wanapon Company on Teak, and the second one in Tar Village with SNS Company, Charcoal Company on Acacia in Siamapuri Province in Laos, PDR. They signed both Teak and Acacia partnership agreement. These are 2 of my partnership agreements I help facilitate. And one of my main role is to connecting community, private sector through forest products partnership agreement, and to ensure they can work together without external help in future. And I believe that the buildings of fair partnership agreements are instrumental in protecting forests and earning income sustainable. My vision is to more local community and private sector partnership in Laos, PDR, and beyond. To facilitate this, I wrote a practical step-by-step guide to explain the groundwork and the process, the guide that Martin just mentioned. I hope my hope is to inspire others to work forward for reaching community, thriving private sector business and restore forests. And I encourage you to share the guide or to try to use in your own area. I have a lot of tips that inside during the process. And if you have any question on the contents or publication, that you can email me, and you can download, as Martin mentioned here, the link below, yeah, and my personal email also here. You can reach out to me anytime when you have a question. Yeah, this is also my end of speaking. Thank you so much. Thank you, Martin, everyone.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chai. Thank you for sharing this link. We will post this somewhere else on the website of the NTFP-EP event, so you can find the link if you were not able to write it down. I think what we want to do now is that everybody turns on their video so we can have a group photo. Everybody, can you turn on your video and put yourself in that video? Because I see a lot of roofs and walls, but no people inside. If you can sit in the picture and put on your video, we have a nice photo together and we can share this. Everybody, put your hair in order, smile. Who else is there? I still see some empty caps. Come on, people, closer to the camera, smile. All right, ready? Who is taking the picture? Go ahead. Okay, coordinators, have you taken the picture? If so,
Hey, Martin, yes, I'm taking a picture because I have to go to the slide 3. Wait a minute, okay?
okay, we'll be patient.
Okay. For the person who is in the slide 1, in 3, 2, 1, go. Now I'm going to the slide 2, 3, 2, 1, go. Slide 3, 3, 2, 1, go. And then the last slide, there's no one in the camera. So all done. Excellent. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for your participation. I hope that we were able to help you with some ideas. If not, please reach out to us. You can also visit our website to find the guide and personally as well. So appreciate your attendance and thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.